age 12. What is fear? Sleep was a place I dreaded to be. It was a place I couldn't control. Memories would haunt me. Darkness was the only moment, the suspense before the horror film began. Being awake was hardly any better. I was back in the grips of my mother after she had cast me away 2 years before, and I was returned, but not by her choice. An auntie visited soon after my return. She wasn't much older than me, in my eyes at least, likely in her early 20s, Americanized with an Igbo accent. In contrast to my mother, the way she said my name sounded pleasing, as if my name were candy. My mother was at work. Auntie and I stood at the kitchen sink. Side by side, we washed our dishes as she asked me about my day-to-day. She was curious why I wasn't at school. I wasn't starting school until January. And the truth is that I arrived unplanned, and it was around Christmas recess. The school didn't see a point. I told her about how I cleaned. She was quiet. Later, we had something to eat and used a small teaspoon. She placed the spoon in the sink and walked away from the kitchen, chattering about our next activity before my mother came home. I watched her do this, and I slinked past her to wash the teaspoon. Why worry? It's just a spoon, she said. She'll be angry, I replied. No, the rest of the dishes I clean. She explained that in a thicker Igbo accent. She italicized her words, but I was tired. I left the spoon lying in the sink. When my mother returned from work, it was the first thing that she noticed. Why did you leave the spoon here, Nora? And I didn't have an answer. And I don't know what my face appeared like, but at that instant, I wished I was in a dream. She's scared of you, Auntie said, in a slightly confused way. And my mother laughed. She should. Age 14, Ammonia Prayer. On Saturdays, I had a purpose, a reason to exist. On Saturdays, I cleaned. How do you know that you're alive? One can only see themselves as a reflection of another. And my mother's skin shone bright with a fiery red undertone, pristine yet somehow filthy. The venom that seeped from her lips permeated and distorted whatever it touched, leaving a stain that I attempted to clean. I started with her room, a standard Floridian master bedroom with an attached bathroom. Lugging a plastic bucket of assorted supplies in one hand and my boombox in the other, I entered the expanse of her bathroom with the intensities of the first steps into a church. First, I picked the music, something I could escape into. The Backstreet Boys, Gavin DeGraw, John Mayer, Jamie Cullum. This was the prelude to my prayer. I had a routine. It was muscle memory. I didn't see what was in front of me when I cleaned. The bleach and the cleaning powder mixed in swirls on the shower walls. You know, Van Gogh made art even though he was insane. With each inhale, I faded away into a void devoid of pain. I knew it was dangerous, but in those moments, I felt I could whisper to God. If the world was a screaming sphere full of pleasures and pain, I would choose the latter in hopes of some sort of gain. I counted to 3 in my head as the vapors from the solution overtook me. 1, 2, 3. Are you there, God? Can you hear me? It was a taste of death in prayer set to a melody, but no one answered. The third time I was kicked out of my mother's home was at night. The door slammed like a movie clapboard to a dark scene I was unfamiliar with. The dreamlike state that I entered after that fight was comfortably wardrobed in my pajamas. I meant what I said to my mother about the men that she brought in and out of our lives. It was a verbal slap that she hadn't expected from me, even though she watched me passively each day as I secretly chipped away at the mental chains that she had ingrained. I watched this movie from a distant place above my body, walking aimlessly down our suburban beach town street. It was an eerily quiet scene, and it was lit only by moonlight. Are you kidding? She was my first female crush. I remember looking at her perfectly smooth, dark as night skin while sitting in the back of the class, wondering what she tasted like. She was my friend, the other black girl in my high school social circle, though she was African American and I am Nigerian. We both knew we were different from the other girls, but all our differences bonded us. It was high school. Carla, Mike, and Desiree were first-generation Filipino-American. Giselle's parents were from Puerto Rico, and my best friend Taj is and was the cherished only child of Indian immigrant parents. The rest of our friends were white girls of middle-class parents who, at our college preparatory high school, pretended that they wanted to be doctors and live the lives that they deserved for suffering the unfortunate fate of mediocre porcelain features and middle-class upbringings. The way she said my name, the way she made me feel, it was like a rolling tide. Her eyes were disguised beacons of light, and she had a smile that gleamed like a sunrise peaking. We were alone only once. I sat in my living room computer chair with my heart racing. I could feel her warm breath against my ear as she stood behind me, both of us staring abstractly at the screen. I imagined what her tongue felt like as she spoke softly. I wanted to show her something on the internet, but deep down, I wanted to show her something else. My mother walked in and asked, "What were we doing?" "Nothing. I said. The next day, she asked me if I was gay. Do you really want to know?